Hey there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, and advocate, and today's topic is about toxic people have no loyalty and no remorse. And so this is something that I've been talking about for some time now on my YouTube channel and people sharing, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about the whole subject regarding those who are loyal and those who are not loyal, and those who say one thing but yet they do another thing. And it's, really easy for some people to say something to us and yet it's just a smokescreen. And once we really stay tuned to what are their actions, what are their words, what are their behaviors, are they following through on what they say, or are they just talking the talk, but they're really not walking the walk. So anyone could promise us, oh, I support you, and oh, I'm there for you. But when it all comes down to the end of the day, when we really see who's still standing, who are the people who are still standing up for us? Who are the people who are still cheering us on? Who are the people who are saying, I believe you, and I trust you, and I care about you, and I'm there for you, and I advocate for you, and I'm going to support you? At the end of the day, we find out who is genuine, who is authentic, who is real, and who is superficial, fake, and just a big phony, and who really cares and who doesn't care. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and especially in regard to the toxic family. But let's keep it wide open. This could also be for the narcissistic spouse. I have so many friends who were married at one time to a narcissist, and the one thing they share, the same story. I'm hearing from these people who were married to a narcissist, and they all have a lot of similar stories. And it all comes down to that the narcissist was not loyal. There was typically adulterous affairs that took place in those marriages, and that the narcissist had so many different people on the side. And, the people who had been married to them found out real fast that no, they were not loyal, and no, they were not sorry either. And so for people who are married to someone who cheated on them, who mistreat them, who abuse them, it is so painful. The betrayal cuts like a knife. And then when we think about families and we start talking about the family expects the scapegoat and the black sheep of the family to stay loyal to them, and yet they're not loyal to us. How many of you have experienced, whether it was one toxic person, maybe it was a narcissistic parent, maybe it was toxic siblings, maybe it was a boyfriend or a girlfriend or someone else in a relationship, and it could have been a relationship that went sour and it went bad, and the person proved to not be trustworthy. And so we find out through time, through wisdom, through awakening to the truth, that not everybody is who they claim to be. People could say whatever they want, but when it all comes down to it, if they are not there for us and they don't support us, and they have over and over lived in denial and deception and dysfunction, we reach a place where we awaken to it, we acknowledge it, we address it, and then we make a decision for ourselves whether to stay in that relationship or whether to end it for once and for all. So today, let's talk about this. Let's talk about toxic people who are not loyal and they are not remorseful. So here we go. Let's chat first about the Collins Dictionary has a definition for loyalty, and this is what they said. It is the quality of staying firm in your friendship and support for someone or something. So here it is. Let's say that again. The quality of staying firm in your friendship or support for someone or something. Okay, so number one, whether it was a friendship or whether it was a marriage or whether it was a family relationship, the one thing is, no, they're not supportive. So the people who are not loyal to us are also not supportive. They have made it so crystal clear that they don't care about us, that they criticize us, they lash out at us, they have smear campaigns against us, and it is just complete drama, 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 and a little bit more drama. And so we find out through time and maturity and through being treated like a doormat, we find out that, wow, my own flesh and blood is not loyal to me. The whole thing with, your mother and your father and your siblings and then other relatives and then even friendships, I could seriously say that the big, amazing thing that came into place for 2020 for me, was that I got to find out who was really loyal and who was not. The one thing is, when I left Facebook, I found out who were my genuine friends and who were people who were just fair weather friends. And so that became very clear. Through time, I have discovered who's really there for me, who really is someone who I could trust, who I can maintain my relationship with, who is a part of my life and I cherish them, versus people who just, they're full of hot air. Maybe for a moment they claim, oh, I'm your friend and I'm there for you. But, at the end of the day, we find out who's still standing with us. And there's a lot of people who are not there. They claim to be there. They claim like, I'm your friend, or I'm your sibling, or I'm this, or I'm that. Oh, you can count on me. And then we, find out through thick and thin who is really there, who's supportive, who is the person when we're down and out, when we can't give them anything. Are they still there for us? Because I also found out this year the people who just want something. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The person who calls you on the phone. Oh, they need some money. Oh, they need a favor. Oh, they need you to do something for them. They want something from you, but oh boy, they're not there for you. They're not there for you. They just want to use you. And then when they're done with you and they got what they wanted from you, oh, they're gone. They're long gone. And they're nowhere to be found. And we find out they're not our tribe. They are not our tribe. So our tribe is the people who are still standing. After we hit rock bottom, after we are living in a pit of despair, when we have losses and we have heartache and we're dealing with trauma and we're dealing with broken relationships, and we look around us and we can see who's really our friend, who's really someone maybe in our family, maybe even in our marriage, who is there for us, and they're praying for us and they're supporting us and they're reaching out to us. Yes, it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. But those who are not loyal, it's one-sided. There is no two-way street. It's one-sided, and it's all about them, and what can you give them? It's not about us. They don't care. So here we go. Oh my, what I discovered is in the past really 2 years, I'd say, especially because I went no contact with my narcissistic mother and my toxic siblings in 2018. And then I discovered, there were a lot of lame excuses, fake apologies, zero remorse for hurting me. And it's really sad when this takes place and we could clearly read through the BS. There are some of us who are very intuitive. We have this inner sense that there's like an inner knowing, and you could call it a sixth sense. You could call it, we're empaths, but there are some of us who we just have this inner knowing, and we listen to our gut instincts, and we watch people's body language, and we watch also their words and their actions and their behaviors and things that are not spoken. And then we know what the truth is. And sometimes we're not hearing it from these people because they're giving us a lot of hogwash, a lot of things that they could say, and they can make empty promises. And we find out real fast, they like to claim that they're this person who cares, and yet they're never there. They're never there. They're not asking like, how are you? And what can I do for you? And what's going on with you? And let me pray with you, and I'm going to stand up for you, and I'm going to defend you, and I'm going to love you and protect you, and I value you so much, and I care about you so much that I want to help you. And so now we find out that there's a lot of people who fall off that bandwagon. They're not there for us anymore, and we could see who they really are. Oh boy, I see your true colors. I see your true colors. Okay, so what happens is the toxic people may say, I'm sorry, but ... And then they go on with this long list of horrible things, malicious things. They have the most, unimaginable, crazy things that they say. And so when you hear that word, but, that's just another way for them to continue abusing us and hurting us and lashing out at us and judging us and saying horrible things. If someone says, I'm sorry, it should end with a period. It should end with a period. There should not be a but after the word, I am sorry. Because when you are sorry, and it is coming from a very authentic, genuine place, you will stand by it and you will not have any excuses. You won't make up a bunch of stories or try to put the person down who you're saying that you're sorry. Well, if you're sorry, then why are you putting them down? Well, if you're sorry, then why are you calling them names? Well, if you are really genuinely sorry, then why are you lashing out at them and telling lies and then creating smear campaigns? Why are you gaslighting them? Do you understand that, love and abuse do not go hand in hand? We have to see through the smoke screen. And that's why today I want to bring up this hot topic on loyalty versus not being loyal, and being genuinely apologetic and remorseful versus just making false claims. And we can understand that not everybody is who they claim to be, which leads me to, okay, so back in 2006, I'm reading my notes, people. Back in 2006, after my sister's husband sexually assaulted me, and I reached out to my sister and I wanted to explain everything that happened, to be honest, to be authentic, to go into a very vulnerable place within myself where, it was not a good feeling. Hey, how do you explain to someone, your husband's trash, your husband's a predator, and your husband violated me and he deeply hurted me. We have to understand that sexual assault is a crime. But what happened was, instead of my sister, having remorse and apologizing for her husband's despicable criminal behavior, and instead of her siding with me, her blood relative, she was loyal to her predator husband. She took his side. She claimed she did not believe me. And then she turned around, and this is where she had conflicting behaviors, conflicting words. So one minute out of her mouth says, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And the next minute she says, well, please forgive and forget fast. Do the right thing. Oh, be a good Christian and forgive and forget fast. Well, why would I need to forgive your husband if he didn't sexually assault me? This one's a no-brainer. But again, this whole thing comes down to that my sister's husband sexually assaulted me in 2006, and my sister did not choose me, her sister, her blood relative. No. She chose to stand behind her man. Oh yeah, that's her song. I think it's a Dolly Parton song, stand by your man. Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. She's standing by her predator man, even though there's dark secrets, even though he committed sins, even though he has assaulted her sister. Oh, she's standing by her man. Renewed her vows about a month later after that whole three-ring circus. And again, over and over, through her words, through her actions, over and over, it was a message to me saying, I don't care about you. I care about my husband. And I'll do everything to protect my husband. And I'll defend my husband, even if my husband is a dirty, rotten man. And so at the end of the day, I found out real fast that there's no loyalty. There was, so what? So she's family. So what? So she's my sister. There's no loyalty. She betrayed me. She betrayed me. And so, I look back now and I wish that I would have cut ties with her immediately in 2006. But, there's that whole thing on, oh, they're going to censor you. Oh, they're going to silence you. Oh, they don't want the predator to be found out, and they want you to not destroy the family reputation. Oh no, she didn't want her reputation destroyed. Oh no, she didn't want the people in her workplace to know what a dirty, rotten husband and filthy, dirty, rotten predator she's married to. God forbid they have to be honest and speak the truth about the bullshit they put me through. But, at the end of the day, I know what happened. God knows what happened, and let him be the final judge. But I can honestly say that I found out real fast that no, there's no loyalty in my family. Next is that blood is not thicker than water. So we need to understand it doesn't matter if they're your siblings, if they're your grandparents, your cousins, your uncles, your parents. Blood is not thicker than water, my friends. And it is a lesson learned. And we could understand that the narcissist and the toxic siblings will discard us like trash. They treat us like we're garbage. And yet we are the ones who are the brave, courageous souls who will eventually wake up, speak up, and say, I've had enough of this toxicity and dysfunction within my family or in relationships or whatever the situation may be. Then, oh good heavens, back in 2019, when my father was on his deathbed, I was completely unaware. So it was May 2019. I was unaware that my father was on his deathbed. I was not informed. And then when my father did pass away in May 2019, I was completely unaware. I did not know. So my sisters did not inform me. My relatives did not inform me, nor did they invite me to the funeral. So we can understand, oh my goodness, wow, there's no loyalty. They could have put aside their nastiness for a day or two and done the right thing and had someone contact me to say, I'm sorry to inform you, but your father passed away. But they chose not to do that. Do you understand? And instead I found out through a stranger that my dad passed away. Can you imagine? You find out through a stranger that your dad passed away. That's rough. That's rough, okay? So, you not only lose your father, but you find out that your toxic sibling stabbed you in the back again and again and again and again. And so what happened was I was really hurt. As you can imagine, I was hurt to lose my father. I was hurt that my siblings never told me. I was hurt of the backlash and the nastiness on their part, their despicable, appalling, immature, very psychologically abusive behaviors. And I ended up deciding to write a blog. And my blog was an open letter to my toxic siblings. And so I wrote this blog, and it was a bit lengthy, and I basically wrote from a very authentic place, sharing how disappointed I was in my sisters for not informing me about my father, about turning their back on me, about being so vindictive, very spiteful people. And I said, you claim to be Christians, but there's no fruit of the Spirit. I see no fruit of the Spirit in you. And I basically just told them in an open letter how I felt. Well, what happened was I shared this open letter on my Facebook author page. Keep in mind, this was back in 2019, and that's when I was on Facebook, and I'm no longer on that website anymore. So don't go looking for me or looking for that author page, because I no longer exist on Facebook, which is a whole other story in itself. Privacy does matter. Next is that what happened was this, though. Okay, so this is what came down after I wrote the truth about my toxic siblings. And I had an open letter, and I'm telling them, I am very disappointed in you. I am actually extremely sad and very deeply concerned for you and your actual self, because you are living in denial and dysfunction, and you are continually bullying me and harassing me, and you're so spiteful and you're so hateful and you're so vicious that I'm sad for you, because I see how low you have gone, and I see that you obviously are not doing well, because anybody who is doing well is not mistreating people and keeping important information from them, such as the death of their father. And so I wrote this from a very pure place, a place of sharing how I felt without actually having a conversation with them. Keep in mind, I was no contact with them. And what happened was, they were spying on my Facebook page. They were spying on my YouTube channel. They were spying anywhere they can, the whole thing, where they're watching you. Oh yeah, those toxic siblings, the narcissists, the flying monkeys, oh, they're watching you. Oh yeah, they are so terrified of being found out and of you telling the truth about them. So they are watching you because they're scared to death. Oh, that you're going to tank their you're going to tank their reputation. So this is what they do. They'll turn around, they'll create smear campaigns against you, they'll retaliate against you, and they will taint and destroy your reputation. So this is what happened. So what happened is just that. I wrote this blog post, I share it to my Facebook author page. The toxic siblings are trolling. Oh yeah, they're trolls, bullies, hypocrites, and psychological abusers. And so my oldest sister lashed out at me and wrote a comment on my author page. Now, just as a side note, on an author page, any fan page on Facebook is considered public. It's not private. So anybody could go to your fan page and write a comment, unless you block them after the comment. So long story short, my oldest sister writes this huge, lots of very vicious hate speech to me. But I want to say the one thing. This is how she starts off. I'm so sorry you feel that way, but... And then she goes into this long, drawn-out paragraph that basically was hate speech. It was filled with lies, and more lies. And she said one nasty thing after another. Then she turned around and she shared it on her Facebook page, in which 45 relatives of mine, oh yeah, you find out real fast who the flying monkeys recruited. So they recruited a lot of relatives. They recruited people who I didn't even know. There were people who didn't even know me writing comments. Excuse me? At the end of the day, again, we find out, number one, no, she wasn't sorry. She starts off her paragraph, the very first thing that my sister wrote is, I'm so sorry you felt that way, but it's the but that's the problem. It's the lies that's the problem. Do you understand, when you say you're sorry, there's a period at the end of that sentence. There's no long, lame, false accusations. There is no lies and the denial. Either you're sorry and you're going to own up to it, or you're not sorry and just say you're not sorry then. I would have really had more respect for my sister if she would have just said, I'm not sorry for not telling you that Dad died. And I'm not sorry for not inviting you to the funeral, the memorial. I think I could be like, you know what? She at least said what she felt, and at least she was honest. But for someone to lie and then deny and then make up every excuse of why they're really not sorry, it's just basically meaningless. It's unproductive. And again, that's why I chose to, on Facebook at that time, I blocked a lot of relatives on Facebook. And eventually this year I did leave Facebook for once and for all. But really, this just gets back to the reality that there's a lot of people who, they say, oh, I care about you and I'm there for you. And oh, I am sorry, but they are not, and their actions speak louder than words. So we have to keep that in mind. So just because someone might text you, just because someone might say something, it does not mean that it's coming from a very genuine, pure, kind-hearted place. And so we have to pretty much try to weed out the garbage of what they're writing and what they're commenting, and understand what really is the case. What is really happening here, what's going on behind closed doors, and what are they really saying? Because her motive was to hurt me. So that's another thing. When someone is apologizing to you, their motive is pure. Okay, they have kindness and compassion and this place within their heart that they're reaching out to you, and they want to be there and be supportive for you. So again, no, my sister was not supportive. My sister didn't care, and I have no respect for her. As far as I'm concerned, she's dead. She is dead to me. Next is that genuine remorse requires visible change. So genuine remorse is when a person can back up their words, their actions, and their behaviors by what they're really living. So if you're saying one thing and you're standing by it, then you are in sync and in alignment with what you're saying. So you're a truthful person. Then you are an authentic, honest person, and you are in alignment to yourself. But when a person's saying one thing yet they're doing another thing, they're not in alignment with themselves. They have a lot of superficiality, and they're just fake, toxic, abusive people. Next is that when there is this genuine remorse, there's not only outer change, but there's inner change. So we could see this transformation within the person. They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk, and we could see how authentic they really are. We could understand, who cares for us and who does not care for us. If someone sincerely does care about you, they will find a way, no matter what it takes, they will find a way to salvage your relationship, to restore your relationship, to support you, to defend you, to protect you, to be there and love you. This is what it is. Relationships are supposed to be a two-way street. It is not a solo ride. If you're in a relationship and it is just a one-way street and it's all about them, and only about them, what the hell are you doing in the relationship, people? Come on. Man, I want sometimes to just have a little heart-to-heart talk with some of you people who are sharing your stories that you're still with those toxic, abusive family members, or the narcissist who has hurt you and betrayed you and stomped all over your heart. There are times, my heart breaks for you. It breaks for you. And I'm watching you and I'm hearing you and you're saying things to me in your comments, and I'm thinking, when will they learn? When will they learn? And so here it is. It is something you have to learn on your own. Some of us, and I'll be honest, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and judge you, but I am gonna say we have to learn, because I learned. And I'm not gonna sit there and point fingers at you and say, you're doing something wrong, because, the truth is this. We can each give ourselves grace, because sometimes we will fall on our face, because sometimes it's going to take us 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or beyond to finally get it and awaken up to the people who are not loyal to us, and they continually stab us in the back over and over and over. And eventually there are some of us who will make radical changes in our life. And sometimes healthy boundaries are part of that radical transformation. The boundaries are saying, you know what? I care enough about myself that I'm not going to let you treat me like a punching bag, and I'm not going to let you walk all over me like a doormat. And I care enough about myself that I'm going to let go of the people who don't care about me and who are not loyal to me. Next is that, how come scapegoats and the black sheep of the family don't see through the smokescreen of abusers? Okay, so here it is. and this is coming from a pure place that I have learned, and I'm just kind of keeping it real, people, keeping it real. Sometimes we don't see it at first, maybe in the beginning, maybe for decades. And the reason why is because the truth hurts, because it really does sting. When we can see through people's words, actions, and behaviors that they really are not loyal to us, and they do not have remorse, and they're not sorry for hurting us and abusing us, that really does hurt us. And there are times where we let it go and we let it slide, and 1 year goes by, and then a couple decades go by, and then it just is, it's going on and on and on, and it doesn't end. And so what happens is that deep down inside, we can understand that we can't be in denial anymore about people who are disloyal and people who are superficial and hurtful and toxic and very unhealthy for us. So we can understand that at one point we have to make some decisions, and these are not easy decisions. Going out of contact is not an easy decision. It is not something that we just impulsively, spontaneously do for no reason. No, we have many, many reasons, hundreds upon hundreds of transgressions and horrible things that they have done to us. And that is how we reached the fork in the road where we chose to end unhealthy, abusive relationships. Next is a new topic about everything regarding these toxic relationships. And we could be unaware of it. It could be unconscious. But I wanted to share this because it is something I experienced, and it may be something that you are going through at this very moment. And so it's called trauma bond. Many of us have a trauma bond, or maybe in the past we had a trauma bond. Some of us have healed this trauma bond. So let's talk a little about it. A trauma bond is when someone is being repeatedly abused, yet they stay in the relationship with the abuser. There are strong psychological and emotional connections to this toxic person. It could be a narcissist. It could be a parent. It could be a sibling. It could be your spouse. You know, there's a lot of different situations and circumstances that involve a trauma bond. A trauma bond is also known as the Stockholm syndrome. It is a vicious cycle. It is really sad because what happens is, and we're going to use a narcissistic mother and her child as an example. So the narcissistic mother has moments when she could be syrupy sweet and kind and loving towards her child. And then she, out of nowhere, unexpectedly, for no reason, you know, the child never deserved it, did not provoke it, but all of a sudden the parent becomes a raging lunatic and starts physically, emotionally abusing the child. And so what happens is this child has a trauma bond to their abusive parent. They may not even know. I'm telling you, people, I did not even know that I had a trauma bond to my own mother until recently. And it is something that got, you know, you process it. Again, you know, this is the healing journey, people. There is an onion. Think of it. Visualize the onion. So trauma is like an onion, and layers upon layers are being peeled away. And as we start stripping away, new layers will come to the surface. And so the newest layer for me is that I have a trauma bond with my mother. Well, she's passed away now. She passed away 3 months ago. And obviously for me, because she's now deceased, it is easier to heal because she's gone. Think about it. She's no longer able to try to overpower me, control me, abuse me. Okay, she's dead. So therefore, it makes it a little bit more tolerable for me to try to go through and process this, to understand this, to gain more insight about the trauma bond, and to continue my recovery. Next is that trauma bonding is loyalty to a person or a group of people, such as your toxic family, who are destructive, malicious, manipulative, and hurtful towards you. So do you understand there is a correlation between having a trauma bond and being loyal to people who continually treat you like a doormat and a punching bag? Are you going through this? Do you relate do you relate to this? Are you understanding that you may have a trauma bond too? Family and friends who genuinely care about you and love you and they value you will not be complicit to those who abuse you. Do you understand that if there are people in your family who are supporting the abuser, the person who hurt you, or the person who sexually assaulted you, or the person who bullied you, etc., they won't be complicit to an abuser. But if someone is defending the abuser, the toxic person, and we know this is the flying monkeys, okay? So in my situation, my toxic siblings did defend my narcissistic mother. So they were being complicit to abuse, which makes them equally as guilty. We can understand that too. Next is that you cannot have a healthy, meaningful, rewarding relationship with people who are incapable of self-reflection. So we can also come to terms with understanding that people who are narcissistic, there is no self-reflection. A narcissist will never own up to their words, actions, and behaviors. They will never, ever self-reflect because they are scared to death to speak the truth about who they are. They live in denial. They will lie and take it to the grave, and that is just the way it is. Next, the best apology that anybody could ever give you is changed positive behavior. So their words, thoughts, actions, behaviors, and so forth will be in alignment with what they're saying. There will be a positive transformation in them that you will visually see and observe. Next, you owe no loyalty to those who have abused you and hurt you. You have no reason to continue to be loyal to those who are disloyal to you. Next, learn to stand up for yourself. Learn to stay firm in your boundaries and to know that this is how we recover and how we heal and how we have peace of mind. And then today, share with me, do you think you have a trauma bond? Have you experienced people, whether they're narcissists, whether they're predators, whether it's an ex-spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's your mom, your dad, your siblings, etc.? Have you experienced people who trampled all over your boundaries, who were disloyal to you, who have never been sorry for what they did for you? And even if they try to give some lame excuse through some superficial apology that you could see through their smokescreen and understand very clearly that no, they're really not sorry. So share with me your story. Share with me how you feel about loyalty. And if you have decided to cut the ties with the narcissist and toxic people for once and for all. And by all means, please take care of yourself, people. Take care of yourself. Stand up for yourself, because that is how we take back our power. God bless.